Hey everyone, this is Mike from MDXpods. I'm talking to you today because we're making a clip episode, a best of episode of Remake Rewind. This is going to just be a little bonus episode in addition to our anniversary episode where we had Xavier guest star and we talked about Ninja Turtles. This episode is just, we kind of wanted to look back on the last year and reminisce about some of the highlights of the episodes. Some of these clips are going to be pretty familiar. You know, they were on Instagram and Twitter, some of them. Some of them are longer little segments that we weren't able to put out on social media just because they were too long. But everything on here would be something you would have heard if you listened to the episodes. But I'm just going back through and looking at the highlights. We want to thank everyone who's been a fan of the show and has made this first year possible. We really can't believe we've been doing this for a year already. We've had a blast doing it. We also are doing this episode as kind of a way to have a jumping in point for new listeners. So if you guys want to recommend the show to a friend or family member, or you want to share this episode, we feel like this is a really great starting point. They can kind of see what the show's about, kind of see some of the jokes that we make, and if they're into our humor, they might be fans of the show. So we would really appreciate if everyone shares this episode on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, that new Vero social media. But yeah, I'm just going to stop talking and just once again, thank you for everyone who made this first year possible. We're looking forward to doing this for much, much longer. And I'll be popping in and out of this episode to kind of tee up some of the clips. By no means are we going to hit every episode, but we're going to hit most of them. So just sit back, listen, and hopefully you find this episode as funny as I did. All right. Thank you.
Very buff Godzilla. Like,
yeah,
this Godzilla
ripped.
Had been doing pull-ups.
Yeah,
this was a big Godzilla.
Dude, he's like CrossFit Godzilla. It's crazy.
Well, no, you know how it's not CrossFit? Because he doesn't talk about it.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
No.
Oh man.
But they did a lot of stuff to build the tension. Like, even though it's only about 2 minutes more than regular Godzilla movies in terms of like overall Godzilla amount, anytime you just saw his legs or his feet or his claw, I was surprised how well the special effects stood up.
Well, I think that's one of the saving graces of the '98 Godzilla is despite the fact that it's a hokey story and it has terrible acting and it's really just a dumb fucking movie, the special effects still hold up. Almost 20 years later?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the hugest fan of the design, but, I was kind of a kid when it came out, and I'm honestly still a fan of it, because it just looks like a giant fucking dinosaur.
Yeah.
And giant fucking dinosaurs are fucking cool.
But then the movie should have been called Giant Fucking Dinosaur.
Well, yeah, but then... I don't think Roland Emmerich is going to direct a movie called Giant Fucking Dinosaur.
I would go see a movie called Giant Fucking Dinosaur directed by Roland Emmerich in a heartbeat.
Oh, right? Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So those were just a couple of sound bites from our first episode on Godzilla. So our first episode, we did a quadruple feature. We did the American version and the Japanese version. So we did the 1998 Godzilla and then the 2014 Godzilla for the American versions. And then we did the original Godzilla movie and the 2016 reboot Shin Godzilla. We had a blast recording that. We learned a lot about podcasting that first episode. While we have really good mics, they're not really designed to be used with multiple in the same room. So if you notice, Dustin's audio is great. He actually records in San Francisco. At the time, Xavier and I were actually recording in the same room, and that's why both of our stuff kind of sounds echoey, because everything Xavier said came through my microphone, and everything I said came through Xavier's microphone as well. So that one took us hours and hours and hours to edit to even get to the point that it sounded like that, which was still better than a lot of other podcasts. Not to bash anybody, but we learned a lot, and we stepped it up on the next episode, which I'm going to show you guys a clip from in just a minute, and that one's from King Kong. And our audio just kept getting better and better and better. We have a few episodes where issues happened, like our first episode with Double D had a couple issues, our RoboCop episode. We also had a couple episodes. There was one episode where my mic stopped working in the middle of recording the Halloween special Nightmare on Elm Street, so that was recorded with an internal microphone on my laptop. So audio is always something that's been important to us. We've had a few episodes with some minor issues, but on the whole, we learned how to set up our audio quickly and efficiently with the best quality right away. So You'll notice right off the bat our audio got way better after the first episode. So everyone who listened to the first episode and then kept listening, we really do thank you guys. But let's get on to the next clip. And so she like contemplates going to like a
burlesque
show, like a peep show kind of thing. That's when
Denim actually meets
Denim
her.
sees her reflection and then like creepily follows her to like the market where she goes to steal, and then he like, oh, I'll pay for it, and convince her. Like, I can see why, she's lost everything. She's nothing going for.
Well, she's starving to death,
Yeah, exactly.
it seems. Like, he takes her to the restaurant, and she's shoveling food in her mouth.
Yeah, I've got to say, this is actually something that I do appreciate in comparison to the 33 and the 76 one, is that Naomi Watts' character, Anne Darrow, actually has a reason to be doing what she's doing, because she knows who Jack Black's character is. She's heard of Carl Denham. She's heard of Jack Driscoll. She was actually
needs calories to survive.
Yeah.
The other thing that I liked about her
precious
is
calories.
The Kong movies are very, very misogynistic. The 1933 one, she is basically a prop just for screaming. Throughout the movie, like, all the sailors are like, we hate women. Women shouldn't be on boats. She's going to be a pain. And then they go and rescue, and then it's all like she's a damsel in distress. They rescue her, and like Jack's character does fall in love with her, but she's very much just a damsel in distress. You go to the 1976, it wasn't required viewing for this podcast, but they couldn't even come up with a way to get a female character in the movie, so they literally had her floating out to sea, and they just like, oh, what the fuck? There's a woman in the ocean.
Yeah,
and then she was just like half naked the whole time, and like there's a point where like Kong just like pulls her top off. It's weird.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite part of the 76 Kong, is just how absurdly sexist it is that they couldn't even think of a way to get a female cast member into the movie without her just being like, oh, I'm floating along on a boat. I bump into your boat. Now I'm in the movie. Like, that is the only way that they could think of to get a woman in the movie.
Exactly.
And it's,
so at least,
it's astonishingly stupid.
It really is. And then it's just like, that rest of that movie is people are telling her to feel like there's a point where the Kong is like coming, and they're like, she's like, let him go. He's just trying to like live his life. And they're like, he tried to rape you. And she's like, he didn't try to rape me. He actually saved me a couple times. And then like the captain's like, no, he tried to rape you.
Wait,
so they're like
Kong
telling
tried
her
to rape her?
Yeah, that's in this 1976 one.
She'd be dead.
Yeah. So that's the thing that didn't really make sense, is like those other movies were very misogynist. So it's nice in this one, like Xavier said, she knew who Jack Driscoll was. She read all his plays, so she was really excited to work with him. So it gave her a reason to be on there. And then she wasn't just a damsel in distress. Pretty early on, she figured out that she could make Kong laugh. She actually developed a rapport with him. She was doing the juggling and the flips, and he actually like was playing around with her. Like, she had like the little stick she was using as a cane, like a Charlie Chaplin-like cane, and he like flips the stick away from her so she falls. It felt very real that they did have a connection, and he did try to protect her. Like, he got bit to hell when he was fighting the T-Rexes, and he was like keeping one arm or leg free for her, keeping her away from the dinosaurs. So it did feel real that she had a connection with him. She very much wanted him to survive. She went ice skating with him, kinda.
Oh god, that scene was so painful. But at the same time, that is definitely something that I appreciate from the 2005 Kong, and actually, that is something that I think Peter Jackson took some inspiration from, previous sequels to King Kong, and admittedly, as terrible as it was, from the 76 Kong. In the 76 Kong.
So we're going to actually jump to a later episode. This one's fairly recent. This was just within the last couple months. This was the last episode that Dustin did before he had to take a break because him and his wife were getting ready to have their first child. This episode was a blast to record. This was Clash of the Titans. The beginning started off a little slow, but once we got into the remake from 2010, it got really fun and really weird and really weird. For some reason, I got really upset with the fact that Sam Worthington has had so many opportunities and he's really not that good. And I'm just gonna let the next clip speak for itself. And I have a feeling we're gonna see another clip that's pretty similar.
Sam Worthington is 5'10".
Oh.
Yeah, so he's like less than an inch taller than me. Fucking little bitch.
Whoa, fuck.
I'm just kidding. Sam
Throw
Worthington.
down.
Sorry, Sam.
Throw down with
If you're listening to
Sam
this,
Worthington.
I'm just kidding.
You really
You're
had
plenty
nothing
tall.
nice to say about Sam Worthington.
You're
He
fine.
said his girlfriend was hot.
Or his wife. It could be his wife. It could be his wife.
All of the
Whoever
stuff. You had a chance
your
to say
female
it to his face, but you
Your
didn't.
female companion.
Now you're using your
Was
podcast.
Oh, man.
Big man hiding behind his podcast on the internet.
You're going to get an email from Sam Worthington. Like, meet me in the parking lot somewhere. Yep, he'll show you what a
He's gonna do
demigod
it as a
is.
man, though.
He's going to do it as a man.
So this next clip's going to be a little bit of a longer one. All three of us thought this part was really, really funny, but there was no way that we could compress it down to a minute so we can fit it on like Twitter and Instagram for, a quick little teaser. But we were talking, this was another one from Clash of the Titans, and we were talking about how the Medusa in the newer one is supposed to be this super ugly woman that no man would ever desire, but in reality, like, I'm just going to let the rest of the clip speak for itself, and this one's a little bit longer. This is going to be a little bit more in vein of what the show is like, not just a little quick joke. So if you think this segment's kind of funny, you'll definitely like the show, and if you've been listening for a while, I'm sure you guys really enjoyed this segment. Poseidon like raped Medusa, and she was like praying to Athena to save her and prevent it, and Athena is like no. So like Athena let Poseidon rape one of her priestesses, which is fucked up, and then it's like sets it up where she can't harm women and all this stuff. Like, it was weird. And they talk about how they set it up where no man would ever want to be with Medusa and make her ugly, but realistically that Medusa was actually kind of hot.
I have to agree.
It's like she kind of had a hot face, and like she still.
Keep going.
Go ahead.
Continue.
What?
You continue.
Gotta,
I want to see where this goes.
Paint a picture for our listeners, Mike. Like, no, like she was like.
Yeah.
I think they used like
where are you gonna take her
Sienna
on
or
your
something.
first date? Where do you take them?
Red Lobster, nice seafood dinner, and then never call her again.
Then she's gonna murder you, dude.
Well, if you look at her with sunglasses, is it cool?
No.
I don't think so.
There's
You
got to be
can't look
something.
at her. Could you look at
man.
like a picture of her?
I think you can look at a picture of her
think you
because
can,
people
'cause
were
it's
looking at the
mirrors,
reflections. Yeah, because people were using their swords and their shields to look at her.
Yeah. Maybe you just got to get like a camera, like a video camera, helmet type apparatus.
Oh man, so yeah, that's how you bang Medusa. You get it like a VR headset
Yeah.
with a camera.
And a scope,
Yeah, but anyway, she was kind of hot. That's all I'm saying.
It just would be inconvenient to wear the
Yeah,
apparatus.
it's like
all the time.
it's like the mermaid thing. Like people are always like, oh, mermaids are hot. Which half do you like, the fish half or the human half?
Yeah.
Definitely the fish half.
Definitely the fish half.
But she's got a snake body, and then she's got a bunch of snakes for hair.
Yeah, that's true. You can't kiss
I think
her or
he was
anything.
just saying she was a pretty lady.
Yeah,
Do all those
I'm just
little
saying.
snakes have little minds of their own?
I have no idea.
That seems like it.
Well, in this one, after
So,
they
if she likes you, that doesn't mean all those fucking snakes like you. You could get like 1 million snake bites if you go to kiss her.
it's true. If you could kiss her.
If you're gonna go get a little kiss, you can get a bunch of snake bites. It's not worth it, dude. No way.
No, man.
Trade off.
No way.
Oh, man. Oh, you're doing, like, oh, this is going to go really dirty for a second. But what if you, like, you figure out a way for you to have a relationship with her, and, like, she's like, I'm going to do something special for your birthday.
No.
And you're getting, like, a
Oh,
blowjob.
no.
But, like, the snake, like, bites your sack or something.
The snakes, all of the other snakes probably bite all on your legs.
Oh, man.
No, you don't want that.
No, it's not worth it. All I meant was, like, her face was still very, very pretty. She's still very pretty.
I thought it.
And I'm sure somebody would attempt it.
Well, yes.
Is all I'm
just
saying.
saying it required. I had to think it out to its logical conclusion, and I am of the opinion that one should not pursue
Oh, yeah,
a
right.
relationship of a sexual nature or any kind, really. Don't do it. Not worth it. You heard it here.
So, don't do it. So, getting
Just a
back to
bad
the
idea.
movie itself. So, our next set of clips are going to actually be from episode 3, Beauty and the Beast. This was the first episode where we had a guest. We had Miss Jen Dronsky on, a really long-time friend of Dustin. She's a stand-up comedian out in San Francisco, pretty successful. Really great insight that she had as we've kind of felt it was really important to have a female voice on an episode on Beauty and the Beast, with the whole like Stockholm syndrome and the whole thing of taking a woman captive and everything. And she definitely added something to the show. So these next couple clips kind of talk about how attractive Beast was in the newer Beauty and the Beast, the live action one from 2017. And just Dustin talking about how awesome it would be to be the Beast, and just kind of how the whole plot as a whole doesn't make sense. So I'm just going to shut up and let you guys listen.
And then they reveal in the movie that was 10 years ago. Like, that means that she cursed an 11-year-old child for not letting a stranger into the house, which is insane. Like, that's just... And then also, like, giving anyone until their 21st birthday... Like, I mean, I was 21, dude. Like, I didn't know how to love anybody.
Well,
like,
back then,
anybody at 21 is an asshole. Like,
this is what,
you're
the
21 years
1600s,
old.
though? So 21 is like 40 back then.
Okay, fair enough. The other point is, if I was 11 and I were transformed into the Beast in this movie, I would have been pumped.
Yeah, super.
I would have been a huge monster that was unstoppable. Like, an 11-year-old's dream is to be Beast in this movie.
I went into what, like, I love the movie. I had that nostalgia bug as I was watching it.
Yeah, the original Beast was much more scary and, like intimidating. But the new Beast, the CG Beast, he's actually pretty hot. Like, I think that several people, like, a lot of my friends and I agree that we definitely have sex with CG Beast.
Dude, I would too.
This might be a start for a whole new furry kind of. Love thing.
Yes, definitely.
Like, maybe furry, dude. Like, it's barely dancing on furry. Like, this Beast has horns that swoop back with his hair. Like, he has a groomed beard.
Yeah, and he has his own castle. Like, I'm kind of like, hey, Beast, what's up? You know, you get your own castle.
True, he is a landowner.
Yeah, and he doesn't...
he could build equity. Think about it. His equity went up so much by the end of the movie. It had all those weird demon statues, but then at the end it was like angels. Like, his property value went way up.
It really is a beautiful castle. Like, the grounds are amazing.
Yeah, and, like, I would definitely marry him for that. And
we can
like,
talk about
like,
Beast's
property
reasonable value and all that stuff, but I mean, have you seen his cheekbones? I mean, come on, you guys.
They're
sculpt.
He was actually, I think, better looking as the Beast than when he transformed into his weird British-looking self.
Way better.
Like a gap tooth,
I mean,
right?
I kind of think so. Yeah, he had a better beard.
I mean, I would hit
beard.
Beast version, but human version, fuck that, man. Nah.
I mean, the Beast version is like, that's a magical creature.
But
like,
he also
there's
looks
no
like
stigma there.
Yeah, he also looks like he has some humility.
It's like banging sentai.
where,
That's okay.
No, I mean, also like Beast versions, like he seems like a person that you might want to actually get to know, whereas like human version of the Beast is like, you know what? He's probably really fucking full of himself.
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
he'd definitely leave a lady out in the rain.
Yeah, like Beast version in this movie too was like way smarter. Like,
Yep.
Like when he was joking about the library, he was like, "Oh, well, did you read all these books?" Like, well, some of them are in Greek, which, he's pretty well read, dude.
Well,
like, she doesn't have to
that's
fucking
one of
teach
the
him how to
things
read.
That I liked about this one, and we'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about the relationship. But that aspect I liked a lot. So let's continue with the character, like just the design. So our next set of clips comes from one of my favorite episodes that we've recorded. One of my favorite action movies of all time is the 1990s classic Point Break, starring Keanu Reeves and Gary Busey. It's a fantastic movie. It is insane. The action's crazy. There's a bunch of one-liners. Dustin and I love this movie. We talk about this movie all the time. In fact, since this podcast came out, this was episode 4, so it's in about a month. It'll be a year since this episode has come out. I've watched this movie I think 3 more times since this episode came out, so I love it. Xavier has never seen this movie before, or hadn't at the time, and he struggled with the basic premise of the movie, so I'm just going to play a couple clips from that episode, and just enjoy it. It was a really fun episode to record. For a long time, it was my favorite episode. There are a few other episodes that have come out since that I kind of hold in just as high of a regard, and they surprised me. Those movies were actually the Cape Fear ones, which I've got a couple clips from that I'll talk about a little bit more later, and the Clash of the Titans, which I played a clip earlier. So I'm just going to shut up and play these next couple clips.
This is a movie about an FBI agent infiltrating a group of surfers.
What's
surfers?
your point, Xavier?
Like, crazy burnout. Fucking. These are guys who you would usually think of as just being like, "Come on,
man.
dude, let's
It's
go,
a tribe out there,
let's go
dude.
smoke
It's
some
a
weed
fucking
and get
tribe,
some,
dog.
Xavier,
some
weed
waves,
isn't
dude.
free, and surfboards aren't free.
Yeah. But I mean, do you really have to go rob 10 banks?
Dude, who's paying for all the planes? Who's paying for the jumps, man? Who's paying for the house? Who's paying for the drugs?
I don't know about you, Xavier, but I know it's like $100 just to go skydiving once.
That party that was at Bodie's house ruled, man. Did you see all the chicks there? There was hella drugs. Like, everybody was having a great time. That costs money. You gotta finance the carefree lifestyle. Yeah. And if it takes 4 or 5 dudes doing some hella bad shit, that's what the dead presidents are prepared to do, man. That's what they're ready to do. Ex-presidents, whatever.
So in this one, he starts off like dirt biking this thing that nobody's ever done before with his friend.
Yeah.
I think his name was Jeff.
Oh yeah, poor Jeff.
And they do this.
God, I miss Jeff.
And this thing, like, it didn't look that gnarly until that jump at the end. Like, they were just riding on top of like some dunes.
So my deal with, and I don't know that his name was Jeff, but if my friend Jeff and I decided to dirt bike around this ridge, and then we made this jump, and then fucking Jeff overshot it a little bit, I'd probably grab Jeff and not his motorcycle before they fell off the fucking thing, dude. Like, grab the guy. Don't grab the motorcycle. You can't lift a motorcycle. But you could maybe grab Jeff and save him and not have to watch him plummet to his death. That was my biggest gripe with the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Grab your buddy, dude. Don't grab his bike. Grab your buddy. If anyone is listening to this that wants to take any kind of safety message away, grab your buddy. Grab your buddy.
Hey, everybody. I'm back again. This next set of clips is going to be from our RoboCop episode. We actually had 2 guest stars on that episode. Double D, who is now a permanent host, who came on just a few months after this episode, and then Joe Medina, who's one of our really great friends. Double D, Dustin, myself, and Joe used to play D&D together. We used to all work together. We're really, really great friends. So this was a really fun episode to record just because, you know, we got 4 really, really great friends on. This episode was a pain to edit, though. This was probably one of the hardest ones I've ever had to edit. There was an issue with Double D's audio. It was the first time he recorded something. There was an issue with Joe's audio. And Joe, we like to call donkey brains because sometimes he just says things, and for whatever reason, no matter where I lined up his audio, it never really seemed to make sense with what was going on. So I literally had to chop up all of his audio and just move things around to where it most made sense. It was definitely a tutorial for me on how to edit and put together a disaster of an episode. But the episode ended up coming out. It was great. It was a really fun episode, and we really enjoyed it. So I'm just going to let you guys listen to a couple clips from this episode.
I like that they explain the chair more in this movie. Like, it filters his blood, it delivers the nourishment, antibiotics. He doesn't eat baby food.
All his hormones.
And I eat here. Like, it seems like just go back to your apartment. That's all you gotta do, really.
Basically,
after a hard day of RoboCopping, I like to return to my couch. Yeah, this RoboCop could definitely do some endorsements for like whiskey and stuff. After a hard day of RoboCopping, I like to relax in my chair and enjoy a nice bullet ride.
When he goes in this chair, they pump him full of hormones and stuff like that, and because he had that freak out,
give me the hormones.
Gary Oldman's character is like, give him some antidepressants.
This chair situation's getting sweeter and sweeter the more I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
I don't want it now. I don't even need a robot body. Fuck it, I don't need this
It's
body.
a package deal, Joe. Gotta have a robot body for the chair.
So we used to have a segment at the end of every episode where we would kind of discuss movie news from that week, specifically around reboots and remakes. And while it was something that I was really, really into, like, I love the background of movies and how they're getting made and what's going on and the production problems, that segment was a little hard to maintain because, one, Xavier and Dustin aren't into it as much as I am, but the other thing was remake and movie news, or remake and reboot news weren't in the news every single week. So sometimes it was a little bit of a stretch to find stories and everything like that. So ultimately we discontinued that segment, but we had some pretty good gems. So I'm going to play a couple of clips from the news segments. One is from an episode where we're talking about the Aladdin remake, the live action one that Guy Ritchie's directing. And then another one is from a tangent where we were talking about the Hellboy reboot. And we just kind of went into a tangent about Guillermo del Toro. So I'm just going to let these clips play. The Hellboy one with Guillermo del Toro, we kind of go into Pokemon, and it gets a little offensive. So, yeah. Straight stand-up comedian would just be them trying to do it like a Robin Williams impression. I don't think we need an impression. We need like a fresh take on it.
Let's just get Louis C.K. That'd be great. Wouldn't that be great?
The genie.
Louis C.K. would just be like, "Give me your 3. I don't give a fuck. God."
Oh my god.
The other.
So what else is
the
in the
most
news?
Depressing genie.
Oh man, that would
That's
be.
what you wish for? You know there are children that are born and they starve and they die. You know that, right?
I can't make. You want to be a prince so she can fall in love with you? That's. Oh God. Or when
great call. I like it. The more I talk about it, the more I like it.
Right?
Okay, so
This is a good seed. Now my mind's just running with Louis C.K. granting wishes and really just judging the shit out of those wishes. And making the wisher regret that he wished them.
Man.
me being somebody who even as a child, when Pokemon was at its peak, not liking it, if Guillermo del Toro made a live-action Pokemon movie, I would watch the shit out of that movie. If he did...
Yeah, you get probably some pretty cool Pokemons.
Yeah.
What would a Guillermo del Toro's Pikachu look like?
Fucking awesome is what it would look like. It would look baller as fuck.
Yeah, I think it'd be a pretty scary Pikachu.
It would be, but these creatures should be scary.
Shouldn't they? Yeah, absolutely.
So
there's what are they supposed to be? Pocket monsters,
Yep.
right? Isn't that the deal with these little shits?
So
fucking catch them all.
The last bit of news.
I don't know. Fight them. Make them fight when they don't
Hey.
want to. What is the point of that?
Michael Vick, all he was doing was adult Pokemon.
Oh my god. Wow. We just leapt over the line with both feet, you
You
guys.
saw the line. You saw it. You danced on it, and then you crossed it.
Me being somebody who even as a child, when Pokemon was at its peak, not liking it, if Guillermo del Toro made a live-action Pokemon movie, I would watch the shit out of that movie. If he did...
Yeah, you get probably some pretty cool Pokemons.
Yeah.
What would a Guillermo del Toro's Pikachu look like?
Fucking awesome is what it would look like. It would look baller as fuck.
Yeah, I think it'd be a pretty scary Pikachu.
It would be, but these creatures should be scary.
Shouldn't they? Yeah, absolutely.
So
there's what are they supposed to be? Pocket monsters,
Yep.
right? Isn't that the deal with these little shits?
So
Fucking catch them all.
the last
Fucking
bit of
kill 'em.
news.
I don't know. Fight them. Make them fight when they don't
Hey.
want to. What is the point of that?
Michael Vick, all he was doing was adult Pokemon.
Oh my god. Wow. We just leapt over the line with both feet, you
You
guys.
saw the line. You saw it. You danced on it, and then you crossed it.
So throughout the last year, there have been plenty of times where I have tried to do accents or impressions of people, and sometimes it works out fine, and sometimes it really doesn't. So here are just a few clips of me doing voices and accents. So let's just dive into the original one. I'm just going to call it the dinner game because I cannot do the accent.
Oh, yes, you
Oh,
can.
try again.
Le dinner de con.
Nope.
It was closer,
It was kind of
Alright.
more
Getting there.
Spanish.
right? I mean,
So-
if you could do Spanish someday, that would be great.
I can speak Spanish. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
That got Italian at the end.
Oh,
All right.
wow.
So
This
let's
is
just get
why
into
everywhere we go in Puerto Rico, people just automatically speak to us in English.
I'm fine with that.
They can smell it on you.
Which I
He'd
don't
been okay,
don't
probably.
imagine Harrison Ford being afraid.
No, it would have been a
of
much
anything.
different character.
He would have just been like, I'm gonna go fight him.
Yeah.
I didn't kill my wife.
I don't care.
was terrible on both ends.
Yeah, I can't do a Tommy Lee Jones. Ralph Fiennes was Hades, and he was barely in this movie.
Yeah.
And he was weird. He did like the same like Voldemort voice.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
I'm Hades.
Yeah, it was so lame.
Worship me.
Why was he like that?
Jesus. I don't know, because he's been fucking in hell, breathing in smoke his entire fucking existence.
That's why?
He's got asthma.
Oh.
And there's a chimpanzee in a flight simulator, and like it crashes, and Mark Wahlberg's like, "Come on, I'm from Boston. What are you doing?"
Who, by the way, after watching this movie, Mark Wahlberg is in no position to coach anyone on how to fly one of these space pods because he crashes two of them.
Yes, he did.
In real life.
He did. In real. Yeah, not in a simulator. So
he sucks at flying those things.
So he's like, "Come on, guys, what are you doing?" That's my best Mark Wahlberg impression.
Sound just like him.
Good. So
say hi to your mother for me. Like, what is that?
So he is like, "Man, Monkey, you're my best friend, and I love you." What was his last name? I don't remember his last name.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Hang on.
Oh, yes, you do.
It's like Bonchon or something like that. No, Pignon was the other guy.
Brochon.
Bonchon.
Say it. What was it?
Pierre Bonchon.
No. Brochon. Brochon.
All right. So
I
anyway.
think it's Brochon.
Yeah.
Pierre.
It is.
If you haven't seen this movie, you're still familiar with the overall plot and at least the say hello to my little friend. That was terrible, but everybody knows that.
Wow, you sound just like him.
That was something, wasn't it?
But yeah, like this is.
Did you get Pacino to appear on this podcast?
But he didn't want to know anybody to know that he was on the podcast, so that was me, just for legal reasons.
Shit, I thought he was here
saying that stuff. Okay, bye, Al. Take it easy, Al. It was nice working with you.
Drive safe, Al.
Yeah.
You.
See ya.
Francois Pignon.
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 Stop it. All right, so he meets. So he's already.
Yeah, he's been killing hella fools. Like, don't they say something like 125
They say something along
people?
the point, like, what do you call 132 bodies? And he goes, "A work in progress."
Yeah. All right, I got the storyline. Are you ready?
Was that pretty good?
That was actually pretty good.
That was good. Well, he sounds like he has a cold throughout the entire movie, mainly because he lives in the sewer, I guess, and he's fucking sick all the time.
He
I don't know.
also. So we're gonna go back to the Clash of the Titans episode and see how Mike really feels. Wait, I'm Mike. I don't know why I'm referring to myself in the third person. I guess I'm just used to being on Twitter and Instagram and representing the network and not just myself. So a lot of times I refer to myself in the third person on social media. Like on Twitter, I'll be like, "Mike liked this because of this." But yeah, let's just go back and see how I truly feel about Sam Worthington. As you guys recall earlier in the episode, I got a little angry. Let's see if I was still angry by the end of that episode.
She's just as tall as she needs to be. Not like that Sam Worthington.
5'10". You ain't 6 foot. You can't be my action hero. Get the fuck out. You fucking limp noodle.
You limp noodle.
Go back to Australia, bitch.
Calling out Sam Worthington. For no reason other than David wanted you to watch this movie.
He's angry at him now.
Go make your 4 fucking Avatar movies, then go back to the abyss.
He's got
bitch.
a bunch of them coming, dude.
Yeah, dude.
I know. Fucking
Two of them
thanks,
are
James
filming
Cameron.
already.
You know what? Fuck you, James Cameron, for putting Sam Worthington on us, man. Fuck you. I'm just kidding. I love you, James Cameron. You keep doing you, bro.
We should do more morning podcasts.
I wonder what James.
Mike gets angrier.
What James Cameron sees in him.
So this next segment's going to be a little bit of a longer one. I did find a way to condense this down to about a minute by cutting out a bunch of details in a teaser back when this episode came out. But I kind of wanted to give the unabridged version of the story on this episode. So in our Halloween special, our first episode of our Halloween special, we did Dawn of the Dead. So that was by George Romero from the 80s, and then the remake was directed by Zack Snyder from 2004. I used to be obsessed with zombie movies. My dad told me that the original Dawn of the Dead looked all grainy and old because it was actually a documentary and that it actually happened. So for years I was traumatized by the idea of zombies, and I had these little like precautions that I took every night. And in retrospect, after talking to Dustin about it, I realized they were pretty fucked up, and I was willing to basically let my brother die to save myself by doing these plans. Like, obviously I didn't really feel that way, but I was a child, and I'm just gonna let the clip do the rest of the explaining. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Every night, I would get all the extra pillows and all my like stuffed animals that my brother had, and I would build a barricade on my bed around myself.
Well, it is a little known fact that zombies cannot get past pillows and stuffed animals.
So my rationale was in the 1978 Dawn of the Dead, there is a scene where a bunch of zombies like push through a wall that's like a plywood.
Yeah, the plywood wall, the fake wall. Yeah.
Well, not even that one. At the beginning of the movie, that raid with all the Puerto Ricans, there's a wall that they like break through.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know they can get through the wall if they know I'm there. So my rationale was, if they can't, because the zombies
they
are
would never
stupid,
know you were there.
If they didn't know I was there, if I had this big wall around me. It's also kind of fucked up because I had a bunk bed.
Yeah.
And so my brother, like, if a zombie did come, they would have like totally saw my brother.
Because he's on the bottom. Were you on the top?
Yeah, he was on the bottom.
Oh, the top's where you want to be. The top,
yeah.
Clearly,
so I had this barricade, and like I was totally willing to sacrifice my brother.
Well,
to
fuck
live.
him. I mean,
so
this is
for
a zombie
years
situation,
and
dude.
Years, I was creeped out by zombies because I thought they were real. I mean, pretty
where
quickly
were you
I learned that they
go
weren't.
from the top bunk, though? What was your plan?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Because I too was a top bunk child. I was on the top bunk, and if they were all over my brother, I still don't know how I would have got out of there.
I would have had to wait it out and let them get bored and leave,
and just be real quiet and let them fucking
be
feast
real
on
quiet.
my brother.
So,
damn, that's cold-blooded.
It is cold-blooded. It's kind of fucked up. I'm a terrible person. So eventually I figured out the zombies weren't real, and but I was terrified of them for a long time. Like, I don't remember.
Until what age did you realize they were not an actual
pretty
threat?
Quickly. I'd say still within a year or so.
Okay.
And
like
within
like
third
a couple
grade,
years ago, I figured out zombies weren't real.
When I actually watched this movie, the 2004, and watched the behind the scene features and realized that it was just makeup. So these next clips are going to be from another one of my favorite episodes. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I have thousands of comic books from Spider-Man. I have tons of action figures. I play all the video games no matter how bad they are. I am a huge Spider-Man fan. And I was thrilled when we finally got around to covering Spider-Man when we did the Homecoming episode. So it was really hard for me to not just keep talking because I know so much about the character, and it's my favorite pop culture character of all times. And normally when we do episodes and I make these little teasers that I put on Instagram and Twitter, I try to limit it to maybe 2-3 tops. But I feel like this episode, both Dustin and I were on our A game like the entire time. And normally Dustin's far funnier than I am in both the podcast and in real life. But I feel like this episode, we both had some really great jokes. We were going and going and going. And I ended up making like 6 teaser trailers for this. I only put out like 3 of them. And it was really hard for me to decide which episode or which clips to put in this episode. So I just picked 2 of them and just go ahead and listen. This episode's a great episode, so I would definitely recommend going back and listening to this episode if you haven't heard it already. But other than that, I'm going to shut up and let you guys listen to this clip. So he is the smartest kid in the school and demonstrates it. That kid's super handsome and super ripped. Like, you know, everyone would know he's ripped from like PE and stuff like that. Like, there's no way
you would know.
I would know.
You do know.
I do know. I saw it in the movie. But there's no way that like he wouldn't be like swinging into Poon. Like, all the girls at that school.
That's what you think. I don't know, man.
Like, come on. Like, that kid's a good looking kid.
I think maybe
he's
not
charismatic.
yet. Like, I think he's learning how to do that.
And he's got like this spider bite, like the size of a golf ball on his.
He's like super sick,
and it's like this kid's supposed to be super smart and a genius, and he like that doesn't alarm him. He doesn't think he should go to a hospital. Like, that's kind of dumb.
No, he's just gonna ride it out.
He got lucky. Like, everything was fine. I guess. Like, you're no longer a human.
Even if you knew just about the different kinds of spiders, not leaving out irradiated spiders, like regular spiders, and you're in that much pain and running a fever, go to the hospital.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we can take this moment to tell our listeners, should you find themselves in this situation, go to the hospital. You're not going to turn into Spider-Man.
You're not turning into Spider-Man. It doesn't happen.
Like, suppose like a brown recluse spider, like those spider bites cause like the necrosis of the tissue.
And you lose like fingers and stuff like that. It's gnarly.
Go to the damn hospital. Like if he had the internet. When you watched it, did it seem like he was like smart, like he was like a super scientist or super good at math?
Like he was.
Me neither.
It seemed more like he might be on the spectrum and was really into insects, because it's like when he's at the they're at the field trip, and like the way he says it is a little weird. He's like, some spiders, they could change their colors. It's a defense mechanism. Like, it was really weird. And then like James Franco as Harry Osborn was like, why would I want to know that? And he's like, who wouldn't?
Yeah,
it was really weird. And then like, but no, you don't get that sense that he's a genius. Like everyone's making fun of him and he's like nerdy and everything like that. But
you get the sense that he sucks. They all let you know he sucks.
But he could easily have just been like somebody who's slow. Like he could have been like, there's nothing that really shows that he's a genius. And like even like, there's a point when Aunt May is talking about like first time he sees Mary Jane, and like she says he's like 7 or 8 years old. And like a 7 or 8 year old seeing a really pretty girl, like you wouldn't be like, is that an angel?
That was stupid.
So he definitely, I can see this Peter Parker being a little bit on like a little slow. Like
you're making a case for it.
All right, so the next series of clips, this is going to be a little bit of a longer segment. It's all from one episode. It's from the Cape Fear episode. This was a series that Dustin really, really wanted to cover, and I had never seen the movies before. And immediately, as soon as I started watching these movies, I got really concerned because of the subject matter on these episodes, or in these movies. Sexual assault is a major part of these movies. They're very, very dark. They're really difficult and uncomfortable movies to watch. Now, that being said, they were fantastic movies, and if you don't have that kind of trigger sensitivity, I would definitely recommend watching both versions. They were both very, very good movies. One came out in 1962, starred Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum. The other one came out in 1991, starred Robert De Niro, and I can't remember the other actor to save my life right now, and it's going to really bother me, but I know somewhere in the clip we say the name. But yeah, they're really dark movies, and I was really concerned about doing this episode. I want our podcast to be fun and funny, but I didn't want to make light of these situations. So, in this episode, we even had a trigger warning kind of thing. And we before we did the episode, we made a conscious effort, like, we're not going to make any rape jokes. We're not going to do any kind of victim blaming or anything like that. We're just going to, cover the movie and just talk about the movie as a whole. So I was really worried that this episode was going to be really boring, and it wasn't. It was actually one of my favorite episodes to record. So this was Double D's first episode as an official host. He got a new microphone, so his audio, he was still learning how to use it. So his audio is a little weird. It got better. If you guys listen to the show, then the audio got much, much better after a couple episodes on his part. But it was a weird movie for him to come back on, and even he was like, this is really weird. Why are we doing this one for my first one back? But the episode turned out really great, and we actually had quite a few jokes in this that didn't make light of the situation, and I was really proud of the episode we put together, and it was really, really fun. And there was one joke in particular that just came up multiple times. Like, we kind of said it in passing, and then we said it again, and then we said it again, and then we said it again, and it was just hilarious. It was really fun to record, and I would definitely recommend watching these movies and listening to this episode. I only really put one thing from this episode. It's the same kind of joke that followed over the course of the hour. But this episode is really, really good, and it's one of my top 4 or 5 favorite episodes. So at this point, we've already done 32 episodes, and this is easily in my top 5 episodes. So check it out. I'm going to shut up, and I'm just going to play this clip, and I'm sure you guys will find the reoccurring theme of these clips from this episode. He's almost like how we have all these movie villains nowadays, when you have Javier Bardem's character in Skyfall, and Heath Ledger's the Joker, where they have these elaborate plans where they want to get caught. as part of their end game so they can ultimately get away with other stuff.
I mean, the big thing that it reminded me of, I mean, it's obviously a newer movie, but Law Abiding Citizen, where I was getting heavy tones of.
Yes, with Gerard Butler.
Yeah,
very much so. Like, within that part where he's getting interrogated, and he makes a point of like, I'm not a vagrant. Look at this. I've got, $5,000.
He's been in jail being pissed, learning the law, like to go mess
Crazy.
up a lawyer's life.
Yeah.
And then he gets himself, like, he does these small crimes, like killing the dog. Like, he kills the dog, but he does it in such a way that there's no evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So that way he purposely gets run-ins with the law, so that way it looks like there's a pattern of them coming after him. So that way down the line, like, a lawyer basically gets a restraining, like, there's not a restraining, but another lawyer's like, hey, Bowden, you are causing them to go after him. This is unfair. It's harassment. So at that point, the cops were like, we can't do anything with this guy unless we catch him in the act. So, like, he got it set up where basically he could do whatever he wants. Like, he was smart enough to do that.
Almost protected, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
He had a great plan.
Great plan.
It's like a Batman villain, kind of.
That's what I was saying. Like the Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight.
Like, I know. That's why I said
that.
It's crazy.
It's a very original thought from Dustin there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I just took it. I took it.
It's his now.
Stole it.
Oh, man. It was really confusing because it was like thermal can.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Well, that's
like,
how
it was like a negative.
See.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Max Cady is a predator.
Boom.
Ooh, you cracked this bitch wide open.
Oh my
man.
god.
Mind blown.
Oh my
god. But yeah, so it does that multiple times in the movie, but not even like in the same kind of like situation. So like, there's a part where
wait. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Important question. Max Cady versus the Predator.
Oh.
This Max Cady's been in prison for 14 years.
He also doesn't carry a weapon, so the Predator wouldn't go after him initially.
I don't know if he knew he was like a hard-ass prisoner, maybe.
Oh, maybe, because that new version with,
what if he saw
Adrian
him whip
Brody?
those guys' asses down by the pier?
That's true. But before that point, but in this one, like the newer Predators movie with like Topher Grace and Adrian Brody, Topher Grace was like a rapist kind of guy, and he was on that planet. So, yeah, maybe he would fight him.
But would he survive?
No, I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure Predator would smoke Max Cady. I'm just being
well, especially in this one, if like Nick Nolte was kind of a pussy this whole movie, was able to take him on.
Well, I think
ultimately.
what he just manipulates him because Nick Nolte's like doesn't want to go to prison or whatever, doesn't want to get in trouble or wants to be a good guy, and like this guy has no rules. It's kind of like the Joker.
No, that's true.
Similar to a Batman villain.
What an original thought.
I can't put my finger on which one.
I feel like I've heard this before. So let me go back to my notes. Let me switch.
Oh,
over.
It was the Joker, right?
I've got.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Yeah, totally. I do have a bunch of trivia on this one. Like this one is. Just goes on and he starts talking about how he is God and like a god and everything. It's fucking creepy.
Yeah, man.
And like he believed it.
Kind of crazy.
It turns out
speaking tongues.
He's kind of crazy.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit.
Not unlike a Batman villain.
One that laughs a lot.
Another parallel, dude. I don't know. Could this be some kind
and then
of
at the
prequel?
end, like after he gets burned, and then he actually got tattooed with like vegetable ink, so it fades after several months.
Interesting.
So like that's pretty crazy that he went through and like really committed to this role.
I mean, that is
not
the
unlike a Batman villain.
The difference of this Max Cady to the old
the Joker,
Max Cady. I mean,
but the new Joker played by Jared Leto.
I feel like this Max Cady was way more fleshed out.
Woo!
All right, so we're pretty much ready to start wrapping this up. I'm not going to be doing any more intros to the next few clips. There's going to be a good series of 5 to 10 minutes of clips going on that are from a whole bunch of different episodes that I just thought were highlights of those episodes, but didn't necessarily fit into any kind of category or, any major episode. Like I tried to hit ones that were important to us or had, special guests. But the next few clips are just going to be random clips from the show that I thought were funny, and I'm just going to let them go. And, just go ahead and enjoy the next few minutes of clips. I want to see Robin / Nightwing done well in a movie, which we haven't seen yet.
He's only done well in animated movies, I think.
The problem with the Robin in those movies is like
old.
He's like 30. Yeah. Why does he need to be adopted?
Well, actually, he's supposed to be a minor in Batman Forever.
It's supposed to be fine, but does not appear to be at all.
Did he just get his master?
Yeah, right.
He's a grown man.
Grown ass man.
And like you understand, like when he's super, like he's reluctant to be adopted. I feel like all he needed to say was, "Dude, I'm a grown man. I don't need you to be my father." Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're sad
how
that
old
my
I
parents
am,
got
right?
killed. Like, you're being real weird, dude. I don't like you like that.
That's exactly what he said. He said, this is awkward, and I know you're Batman, by the way.
Right?
I mean, that's cool. Like, we can hang out and fight crime together, but I don't want to live with you.
And this part was pretty risque. I wrote it down. He goes, "We'll finish with integrated champagne." And she goes, "Finish?" And he goes, "Ooh, you're not in a scientific mood." Like, she definitely wanted the D, his wife.
Yeah.
Pretty risque for the 50s. But at that point, when she's all like hot and bothered with him doing his like science stuff, getting the champagne, he's like, "Oh, by the way, I totally teleported our cat and I have no idea where it is." Like, that cat's definitely dead at this point. It's just messed up.
I don't know. I think maybe it was an outside cat. It's fine. It'll come back when
it had a name.
With like a bird or something,
It had a name.
It's
and
running around in the neighborhood. It's probably fine.
It's dead.
It's probably hanging out with all its
It's probably
cat friends.
in one of the walls.
He's probably got like some cat friends he's been hanging out with. Maybe they went on a little trip somewhere.
But then what's fucked up is he goes and says, so he teleports the guinea pig.
He tells her it all.
Yeah, fuck. So
the feral kid, dude. How about that guy?
The feral kid.
The kid rules.
That feral kid is awesome. He like laughs every time Max kills somebody.
Yeah, he's like throwing his boomerang around. He's got a whole network of tunnels going on.
Dude, the kid's tight.
Yeah,
He's
dude.
got the sweetest mullet.
He really has a good mullet. And he doesn't he do like backflips and stuff?
Yeah, he does tons of backflips. Like there's a part where he throws the boomerang and Wes ducks and then it comes back and then it kills Wes's boyfriend. And Wes gets super pissed. Humongous has to choke him out to get him to calm down. And he's like whispering in his ears like, "I'm never going to let these guys go, bro. You know me. So you just got to chill." And then he chokes him out.
I'm never going to let him go. The other thing too is like when she walks home covered in blood, right?
Yeah.
Like she's just dripping with blood. And then she goes home and it's like she gets in the bath and it's like, that's a shower time.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude.
Yeah, you're sitting in the blood still.
You're just sitting there in the blood and it's gross. It's kind of grosser. You can't
that's
feel
super
clean.
gnarly.
Just bathing in blood.
No.
I mean, it's
I get...
ugh, so stupid. Baths in general, dude. What's the deal with baths? Do you guys take baths? I never take baths.
I do every once in a while, just to like, but it's
Do you
more
take
like
a
not
shower
to get clean,
first?
but to like, if I've got like a hard day,
after?
my like to soak and like get the heat into the muscles, but not to get clean.
Do you take a shower after you take a bath?
Nah, dude. I only take baths with my girlfriend.
Do you take a shower after you take a bath?
Yes, absolutely, I do.
Yeah,
if I
you're
do.
not going to go sit there in a pool of your own filth and then get out and be like, "Oh, I'm good."
I'm
No,
clean.
not at all.
Fuck baths. One of my earliest memories was I was probably in like second or third grade and I got like really good grades on my report card, so my mom took me to Target and I could like get a toy or whatever, and I really wanted the proton pack, like the wearable proton pack. And we were like looking up and down all the aisles, like where all the Ghostbusters stuff was, and like I couldn't find it. And then for some reason I was looking up in the top stock and I saw like the cardboard box that said Ghostbusters proton pack, and I looked at my mom and I put it there, I was like, "Proton pack! Thank God I can read!" Because like I just kind of wrapped my mind around reading. I was so happy. That was like the first time in my life that reading paid off for anything other than school.
Stay in school,
for
kids.
you listeners, stay in school.
Learn to read.
A mug go flying or an ashtray go flying when he's like, "It's Carrie." Yeah, it's like this movie is fucking dark.
Yeah, I mean, I think Carrie would really have benefited from the help of Professor Charles Xavier in
Would've
his
changed your
school
life.
for gifted youngsters.
Yeah, for sure. they're gonna steal the gold from an armored truck. Like they're gonna blow up the truck. So they're practicing it, and like the guy who's doing the dynamite just like destroys the entire truck. And Michael Caine
You're only
was
supposed to
like,
blow up the doors.
"You're only supposed to blow up the bloody doors." And apparently, that's number 33 on the most memorable lines of all time in British cinema.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
That's really interesting.
That's what my research says, Double D. Do you doubt my research?
No, I'm just
you better
blown
not, you
away
son of a
by
bitch.
that fact. I trust you, Michael. I trust you with these facts.
Okay,
Not with
good.
my life, but with these facts.
Oh, you don't trust me with your life? I trust you with my life, Double D.
Well, I'm trustworthy.
Are you?
Sometimes.
You say dogs can't look up.
What?
You told me dogs can't look up.
I have never said that in my life.
No, you didn't. That's from Shaun of the Dead. Ultimately, Alex Murphy gets like a car bomb that blows him up, and he like loses an eye, he loses a leg, he loses an arm, he severs his spine.
Which, even with all that, is still not as horrifying as a hail of gunfire.
Still looks really good.
So he survives.
Like that explosion did not touch his face. Like
No,
you
so he
consider
was
it like he fucking.
Well, his face is explosion proof. That's why they selected him.
He would have been better than like Christopher Reeve's life. Like he would only been
paralyzed
paralyzed
from
from
the
the
face
waist
down.
down. Like he could have.
Oh God. Well, I guess technically that's better.
Yeah. So anyway. If you had a tiger, what do you do to prevent a mauling? Like, how do you prevent a Siegfried and Roy incident?
First of all, you don't have explosions going off near the tiger.
Well, actually,
Wrong.
Actually,
it's the
that is
complete
entirely
opposite.
incorrect answer.
You need to have a fail-safe. You need to have a small bomb implanted at the base of the tiger's neck. Come on, Xavier.
On a key fob. So if the tiger goes bad on you, you got to put it down quick.
But
you
wrong.
shouldn't own a tiger. Okay?
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
but
that,
that,
I mean, a fail-safe.
Own a tiger.
we're assuming that you already own the tiger. Like the tiger is in your charge, whether you like it or not.
Once you own this tiger, you have to be able to blow up its
You
brain.
need a fail-safe.
I
think about
Yeah.
it, dude. Maybe something on like a cuff, like a wrist cuff, maybe a special watch, some kind of remote detonator that's on your person.
Okay, I will defer to you guys then.
I'm really
Just think it
disappointed
over,
that you got
think
this
it over.
wrong.
It'll all make
Xavier.
sense.
You know what? It does make sense, but like you guys, you.
The kid was okay. He was trying to help.
The kid was funny. Well, he was just he was really excited about finding the fly with the white head.
He did find it.
He did find
mom made
it.
him
He
let
found
go.
it twice, but
Yeah,
it was
like,
pretty
God damn
funny.
it! How many times do you want me to find this damn fly?
And he's like, "Mommy told me to let it go, but then she changed her mind." He's like, "You know how women are." It's like, "Do you? You're 5 or
This kid
6
does.
years old. How? Why are
It
you
was
such
a different time.
It's fucking chauvinist. Fucking little piece of shit kid.
Yeah. Well, they were raising him in the times.
Yep, they
to
did.
be terrible.
Yep. Oh man.
Like, if you were gonna build a bad guy lair now, how would you? Do you think you could source a snake pit?
I mean, snakes on a plane was a thing. You can smuggle snakes, I guess, if you really wanted to.
Then you got to keep them in a pit. Then you got to keep feeding them. What else were they?
Man, see, the thing is, I'm actually a little afraid of snakes, like rattlesnake ones. Like, I think they're creepy. When a snake like is hissing, I think it's terrifying.
Oh, you got to get out of there.
And like, I wouldn't want to like have to handle snakes. I don't know if a snake pit would be the thing that I'd have in my.
I think that's why
lair.
you keep them in a pit, right?
Yeah.
So you
you
never
gotta
have
have
to
them
touch
low, but then you gotta be throwing like bunnies.
That's
down
what I'm
there and
saying.
stuff.
Like, where are they getting all the food? There's barely any food out there for them to eat. And they're feeding all these
Right?
fucking snakes.
So that's where you gotta fucking throw your bad like hombres down there, like
Like your henchmen that suck. Like,
yeah,
you feed them to the
But a
snakes.
snake can't eat a person.
No, they can't eat a person.
It
Dude.
doesn't work.
I don't know, man. This movie's full of
All
holes.
right.
It doesn't hold up.
No, I just feel like weird that Gina Davis constantly kept going to him. Like, I don't feel like he's a guy that you would go into. Like, he's definitely gonna want sex.
Well,
later
yeah.
on
I
and
mean,
be
they
like,
said
I
they were
lost my
together
hand and foot
before.
for
Like,
you.
she was his professor or something like that. Like, they had a pretty weird, fucked up relationship.
Yeah, but like, it's definitely gonna get
Oh,
weirder
yeah.
and more fucked up because he's gonna be like, I lost a hand and a foot.
Yeah,
for
he's
you.
gonna
Like,
totally
you
lord
owe me.
that over her for the rest
He's
of her
gonna
life.
do that. Like, that's just the character. Like, you know, we are not saying that he deserves sex
Because
just
he lost a
throwing
hand
that
and
out
a
there.
foot.
We're not saying that. We're saying based off how this character acts, he's gonna
Correct.
expect it. So don't get mad at us. We're not
I
chauvinists.
would not sacrifice a hand or a foot for most women.
Maybe one or the other, but not both.
I don't know, man. Like my wife, yes, but the rest that's a short list past her.
Yeah, I agree. But so I guess
my mom.
Let's talk about Brundle real quick. So
the poster for the original versus the poster for the 1982 version.
Yeah.
Like the original has people making expressions like they're kind of constipated, and it has this tagline that says, "It creeps, it crawls, it strikes without warning."
It doesn't do any of those things.
It doesn't do any of those things. It does not creep. It does not once crawl, except when it is being... Well, I mean, it gets down on its knees when it's being electrocuted.
Does it even lurk? I didn't even think...
No, it doesn't lurk.
It doesn't
lurk. No, it doesn't come out of nowhere either. It's always punching through walls and doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Every goddamn time.
It doesn't strike without warning once in the goddamn movie.
No, there might as well be a siren that goes off every time.
Yeah, exactly.
It strikes with...
All right, so that's a wrap on the Best of Remake Rewind 1 year anniversary clip bonus episode. Once again, I just want to thank everybody who's been a fan and supporter of the show over the last year. We've had a blast putting this show together, and I had a blast putting this episode together, going back through, and I basically listened to almost every episode again, and I'm really proud of the work that we've put together for this last year, and we're really looking forward to doing another year of the show. So once again, thank you guys for being fans and supporting the show. If you guys want to help us out, please like and share this episode. Like I said earlier in the episode, this is a great launching point for people who haven't listened to the show before to kind of see what we're about. So if you guys can share this episode, it could be really, really big for us. So please help us out there. If you guys want to know a little bit more about MDXpods, you can go to MDXpods.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at MDXpods. We're also on that weird new social media bureau, so check us out there as well. If you want to support the show financially, you can go to patreon.com/MDXpods. Throw a couple bucks our way. It helps, pay the bills for the podcasts, both this one and Ruin My Childhood with Katrina. Other than that, thank you guys for listening. We've had a blast doing this, and I look forward to doing it again. And, yeah, have a good one, guys.